Hello, boys and girls. Greg from the Scary Spirits podcast here to make you another cocktail. This week's cocktail is the Drunkenstein. And it is a featured cocktail in today's episode. We're going to start our glass with ice. To that, we're going to add melon liqueur. 1 ounce melon liqueur. Give it that pretty green color. Tequila. 1 ounce of tequila. Not my favorite. The recipe did say you could use rum. We're going to stir it up a little bit. Then we take club soda. And we're going to top it off. And there you have it, boys and girls. The Drunkenstein. Not bad. Definitely get the tequila. I think I'd like it better with rum. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Thanks for watching. See ya.
If I were directing and starring in a film, you can be damn sure that at least one actor in said film would look amazeballs. And that would be, you guessed it, me. And in this week's episode of the Scary Spirits podcast, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Kenneth Branagh just proves my point. Don't get me wrong, it's a really good movie. But Kenneth, he looks fantastic. There are quite a few extended scenes of him beautifully lit while running around shirtless and sweaty. This particular film sequence might have caused Greg to fast forward, and me to rewind. Quite a few times. Allegedly. Cheers!
Welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and/or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Hi, I'm Greg.
Hey everyone, I'm Karen.
And welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast. Podcast that combines the two very different yet highly compatible worlds of scary films and alcoholic spirits.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. How are you, Karen?
I'm doing great. How are you, Greg?
I'm okay. Thank you for asking.
Uh-oh, okay. It was the perfect day for thirsty work. I thought you'd be feeling good.
It was indeed, Karen. A little too hot. Maybe I sweated it all out.
Oh, damn it.
I tried, Karen. I really did try. I did lots of thirsty work.
I know you did.
I believe this week's film is your choice. Was it not, Karen? It's been so long. I can't remember.
Yes, it was.
And what film have you chosen for us this week, Karen?
I have chosen the 1994 Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Do you remember 1994, Karen?
Sure. I'm sure if somebody told me of an event in 1994, I would say, oh, yeah. But to pull something out of my head from 1994, probably not.
I remember it.
Was it a good year for
Parts
you?
of it. Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say it was pretty good.
I was probably in grad school, so it's all a blur.
My son turned 1
That's good.
about,
You kept him alive for a year. That's a banner thing to celebrate.
yeah, I think I got custody of him shortly afterwards. I think I got custody of him in 95. I think he was about 18 months old when I took custody.
All for the better, I'm sure.
Well, duh. But moving on. Any reason you chose this film, Karen?
Yes, I actually have a reason.
You do?
One that you'll
Do tell.
appreciate.
Go
When this
on.
podcast comes out, it will be Mary Shelley's birthday.
Mary Shelley's birthday is August 30th.
Yes.
And how old would she have been, Karen, if she would have lived forever? Much like
You
the
plan
theme
to?
of this film.
I think she was born in 1798. Is that right?
Ooh, very close. I'm impressed. 1797.
Oh,
226 years old.
and looking good. It's amazing that things that she wrote back then are still very relevant. My son, who is about to be a junior in high school, this was one of his options for his summer reading. So schools are still using it.
Yeah, my son read it.
I never read it. I think
I
we
didn't
talked
either.
about this. Yeah.
No, I have his book is still here. I have thought about reading it. So you don't know really the source material.
I do not.
Mm,
I wish I did after watching this, though.
yeah. I'm not so sure this is very true to the source material, even though it is called Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Karen.
Exactly. That's why I thought maybe it was, but after watching it, I don't think so.
Nope. I would say no.
I mean, there might be some things, but
Oh no. You have a cocktail for us, Karen,
I do.
to enjoy while discussing this film. What would that be?
It's called the Drunkenstein.
Drunkenstein, or is it Drunkenstein?
Well, I'm assuming because it was about Frankenstein that it's the Drunkenstein.
Okay, Drunkenstein. Yeah, I wasn't quite sure. And how would one create this cocktail, Karen?
Well, first I have to correct a mistake that I made in the last podcast where I said I found it on YouTube. That's a lie.
Okay.
Blatant lie. It's actually on Facebook.
You lie to me, Karen, over and over again. Go on.
And it's on the Bradford Area Public Library site page.
Where's the Bradford Area Public Library, Karen?
I don't know. I couldn't figure that out. But they had this lovely short film with facts about Mary Shelley and then this drink at the end of it.
Okay.
She was only 20 years old when she wrote this book, which is impressive. And she was quite prolific as a writer, which I didn't really know until I saw that little film. So
I skipped over that part and went right to the drink recipe, Karen.
well, if you want to watch it, it's again on the Bradford Area Public Library Facebook page.
It'll be linked in the show notes.
Okay. October 23rd, 2020 was when they put it up.
Go to our website, scaryspirits.com. Look in the show notes if the link is not in whatever podcast player you are listening to us. All the links in the show notes work.
You're awesome, Greg. It's a very simple drink. You're going to need a melon liqueur, some tequila, and some club soda, and some ice. All you're going to do is mix together 1 ounce of melon liqueur and 1 ounce of tequila, pour it over ice, and then top with as much club soda as your little heart desires.
As large as your glass is.
Yes. Fill it on up or just put a splash, whatever you want to do.
She did say in the video that you could also use rum, which I would probably like better, I think.
Yeah, I think she said you could use anything. Mostly it's green because of the melon liqueur.
She was just making it up as she was going, it seemed like, Karen.
It looked like she just, well, what do we got here? Oh, I have tequila. Let's use this. So it's cute little drink. Nice and green and simple.
I definitely taste the tequila.
I don't mind that. I know you do.
I know you enjoy tequila, Karen.
I think I would like it better with rum. I'm not a big club soda fan. That's my issue with it.
Club soda's fine.
I think I would rather have Sprite or tonic water.
Should we give everyone
a chance to make their own cocktail, Karen.
Absolutely.
And you don't have to make this one. Shit, make your own. I don't care. Hold on. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
Might you have a brief synopsis for us, Karen?
I do.
Go on. Tell us all a story.
As Viktor Frankenstein is dying, he shares a tale of gruesome terror with a sea captain. Viktor, using previous experiments by a brilliant scientist, was able to bring a creature assembled from body parts back to life. Once he realized how destructive his experiments had become, he abandoned the creature and tried to live a normal life with his fiance. The lonely creature seeks out Viktor and demands one of two things: a bride or revenge.
We are a match, Karen.
Woohoo!
Did you watch this on Amazon Prime, Karen?
I did.
You paid the $3.99. It's a bargain, I think.
I actually saw this in the theater. I remember seeing it.
Did you?
I did.
So you've seen this before.
Yes. And I remember parts of it, but not other parts of it. So.
Okay. I've never seen it before.
Really?
Never.
Okay. Well, before we even start, I'm going to ask you a couple questions.
Go on.
Can you guess about how many Frankenstein creature films have been made?
Yes, I can guess, Karen.
All right. What do you got?
Oh, you want me to tell you? Want me to say my guess?
Yeah.
How many Frankenstein films?
Yeah, this seemed low. And I don't know how accurate this is. This is an October 11th, 2021 blip that I found. And it's not specific.
I'm going to say 18.
Well, that's not close. Because I would have had to give you anything over 80. Because it says,
really?
The Frankenstein's creature has been featured extensively in film, both adaptations of the source novel and as a stock character in original plots, over 80 unique films in total.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't thinking of all the, Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, and the Bowery Boys meet Frankenstein, and Monster Bash and whatever else there are, cartoons and all kinds of shit. I was thinking primarily Hammer and Universal, and
right.
Even the silent. I knew there was a silent one, right? I think Edison did a silent. I think that was the first film he did, right? Was Silent Frankenstein?
It is, because I was going to ask you, what is the oldest Frankenstein movie? And you're right. Frankenstein was made by Edison Movie Studio in 1910, and it was the first film telling of Mary Shelley's classic story from 1818. Running less than 20 minutes, which is long by the 1910 standards, the movie focuses on Dr. Frankenstein's wrestling with his impulse to create life and then fending off his creation. So you're right.
And that's just movies, right? I mean, because
that's what I looked up was movies. Yes, I'm sure there's comics and all,
Yeah. Did you ever watch Penny Dreadful?
No.
That's a Frankenstein story too.
I've seen one or two of them, but I never saw start to finish. I heard it's good.
It is good if you like gothic porn, Karen.
Yeah.
And who doesn't?
I know that I do. True Blood.
All right. Are we ready to get into it, Karen?
Yes, let's go.
No warnings other than it's 18 plus, Karen.
We got quite a way through it, and I'm thinking, why is this 18 plus? And then, so if you didn't know the scene where it became 18 plus, I'll probably point it out. But I didn't really feel like it needed to be 18 plus. Did you?
I'm trying to think of the scene now. I now that you mention it, no, I don't actually.
There are a couple brutal hangings where it's pretty kind of graphic, but that wasn't 18 plus to me. I didn't think.
No.
So
I mean, there's not even any nudity. Where there should be, there's not even any.
I knew you were going to be upset by that.
I was still watching. I'm saying, okay.
Here's going to be the boob count.
Get to it.
Right up to the edge.
Get to it.
So, yeah, really necessarily agree with the 18 plus.
I think Helena Bonham Carter, I think she has a thing about that. She doesn't.
Helena, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think she does nudes. So she looked pretty good in this movie, though.
Yeah.
I'll say before we even get into it. All right. Rated 18 plus. Film starts, we have credits. And I wrote, it sounds like we're getting a foreword by Mary Shelley. That's what it sounded like to me. It's like a narrator, a female narrator. And I was kind of curious if it's the actual foreword in the book. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Is there one?
I don't know.
It just so happens I have a copy right here. Okay. A Barnes and Noble classic. If there's a foreword.
Well, she said, I busied myself to think of a story which would speak to the mysterious fears of our nature and awaken thrilling horror. I want to make the reader dread to look around, to curdle the blood and quicken the beatings of the heart.
Right. That does sound familiar. Author's introduction. I'll bet it's in here somewhere.
Probably.
Talk about her and Lord Byron talking about a ghost story. I bet it's in there. It's got to be. I'm going to say it must be.
A well-prepared host of a podcast would have found that in the beginning.
Your film, Karen.
I know. I'm saying it's not a knock on you. It's a knock on me.
Yeah, she talks about them pretty much the first scene in Bride of Frankenstein, right? When
exactly. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
they all like challenge each other to write a scary story. But I don't know. Maybe she didn't use those exact words. I'm not finding it. Oh, but then there's a preface, or is that how you say it? Preface?
I always said preface, but
it was written by Percy Shelley in his wife's voice. Yeah, it's probably in here. I think it's in the preface. Judging by the bookmark, my son only read half of it. It's a movie ticket. It's a movie ticket from 2010, a student priced movie ticket from 2010.
For Frankenstein?
No, for a film called Percy. I don't know. Whatever.
Is that her husband?
He graduated.
That's all that matters.
Then we have words to read, Karen. The dawn of the 19th century, a world on the brink of revolutionary change, alongside political and social upheaval, scientific advances that would profoundly change the lives of us all. The lust for knowledge had never been greater. Among the pioneers, Captain Robert Walton, an explorer obsessed with reaching the North Pole. As the prize drew closer, his voyage would uncover a story to strike terror in the hearts of all who would venture into the unknown.
So he's fictional because
I had never heard of him.
Well, I looked him up. He's fictional, but that brings us to who actually discovered the North Pole.
Wasn't a bird?
No, it's actually
Admiral Commodore or something. I don't know.
Harry, but it's debated because Frederick Cook says he got there first. But then in 1989, British explorer Wally Herbert concluded Parry did not reach the pole, although he did come within 60 miles of it.
Harry.
P-E-A-R-Y.
Yeah, I thought you said Harry.
Oh, no. No, just old Harry.
Commodore Perry, right?
Yes.
That's what I thought. I know it was a Commodore. And it says Arctic Sea, 1794.
So do you want to know how cold it gets in the North Pole?
How cold does it get, Karen?
Well, in the summer, it's 32 degrees. But in the winter, it's minus 40. So I'm assuming this ship was traveling in the winter. Although they didn't look like they weren't going to make it. So, and we talked about the South Pole, right? With the thing with the Antarctic, where it's much colder there. Because in the summer, it's minus 18 and minus 76 in the winter.
We see a ship on the ocean and the sail tears and they hit an iceberg.
Yeah, you can see ice and snow all around them.
And one man goes overboard and he gone. But the Captain Walton, I guess, is determined to go to the North Pole. So he has all the men chopping through the ice, try to get the ship free. He's going to go there no matter what it takes.
Right. And over we get that. And they're chopping some wood and they have a tiny little fire.
They even threaten mutiny and
he doesn't care.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care how many lives it takes.
No, they knew the risks when they signed up. We're going to the North Pole.
They are going to be immortal, Karen. They're going to be immortalized in the annals of history.
So then they hear a noise off in the distance, and
It's a moaning kind of sound.
Victor arrives, who we learn is Victor. I mean, it's Kevin Branagh. Was that how you say his name? How you say his name?
That's how I say it.
So,
Kenneth Branagh.
Branagh.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be the creature, but when the individual approaches and takes off his hood, it's Victor.
And he tries to get the men from the ship to go with him.
Now. He has no time to talk.
Now. But all the little huskies there, they're barking at whatever else is out there. They all break free.
Yes, and it's unfortunate right away.
And they all go.
Yep.
And Victor tells them as much. Never mind, they're already dead. And they do all die. And right here I wrote, again, Captain Walton wants to find patches to the North Pole no matter what it takes. I guess he's talking with Victor. Victor says something about, do you share in my madness?
Yeah, the captain says he's been going 6 years towards his goal. He's going to find the passage to the North Pole. And Victor says, at the cost of lives, he doesn't care. It's like, we're going.
Then we cut to Geneva, 1773.
Victor tells the captain his name. He says, I'm Viktor Frankenstein. And then we do the flashback to, he's telling him a story. So we're going to see the story as he tells it.
21 years earlier. And we see Victor dancing with his mother to a harpsichord.
He's a child.
Yes. They take in an orphan named Elizabeth. And Victor's told to treat her like his sister.
Yes.
Cut a few years farther, probably 10 more years, right?
At least.
Because he's grown.
He's a man now.
He's reading books. He wants to be a doctor. And his mother is pregnant.
His father's a doctor.
Yes. And then I wrote, there's more dancing.
His mother's pregnant. And she talks about how he was a serious boy with a hunger for knowledge. And now he's a young man who has a fascination with strange ancient books. She says, you'll be a greater doctor than your father. And he's very proud of that. But she also says, you need to have some fun. You're all work and no play. And then we see them dancing.
Dancing again. Mom faints and they begin delivering the baby. As lightning crashes Karen into a tree.
The baby's in the wrong position. It's not good.
Not good. And I didn't know it was the father delivering the baby right here, but we learned.
And the mother says, cut me, save the baby.
Yeah, do whatever you can, save the baby. So did he do a cesarean? Is that what he's doing? No. Okay.
Slices are open at the bottom. We want to.
Okay. So then we see the doctor covered in blood walking down the stairs, who is Dad. I didn't know it was Dad then, but and he said he did everything he could. Victor runs up. Mom's gone, but the baby lives.
But father's covered in blood. The baby's fine and the mother's gone.
3 years later, Victor visiting his mother's grave, and he is obsessed now with creating everlasting life.
He says, you never should have died. No one should ever die. I mean, that could be a problem if no one ever died. But he'll stop it, he promises.
Then we see him beginning. He's conducting experiments with electricity and lightning.
And Elizabeth says...
With Elizabeth.
Yeah, well, she comes in and says, you're obsessed. And he says, energy never disappears. It just changes form. And she wants him to go outside. Like, come on, go outside. But he says, go away, I'm busy. And then he explains to her some of the things. He's using electric eels. And she starts fiddling with stuff. And he says, put that down. And then she starts squirting with water. And she gets him to go outside. The next scene is he and his younger brother. So the baby was a boy. And Victor and Justine. So who is Justine and her mother? They live in the house too, it seems like.
Yeah,
but
the mother is like the housekeeper, servant kind of thing. And
like runs the house.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I didn't know who they were. Wasn't clear. But Justine kind of has a thing for Victor, I think. But she's almost like a nanny to the young boy, to the baby brother.
They do an experiment with lightning rods and they all get like electrical shocks, but harmless. And then there's more dancing, Karen.
It's this huge hall with nothing in it.
It's their house.
I know. It's crazy. It's very grand. They have a very grand house.
Got no banister on that stairway.
No, they do
though.
not. It's like that old Dracula one, remember? Doesn't have a banister.
It's wide, though. It's very wide. And I guess they're celebrating Victor's
departure,
graduation.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's going off to university.
That's what it looks like, yes.
And his father gives him a journal that his mother wanted him to have. And she even wrote the very first page saying, the journal of Viktor Frankenstein.
Yes.
Whatever.
And the rest is blank to be filled with deeds of a noble life, his father says.
Then there's more dancing. Victor and Elizabeth, and I wrote love connection. They kissy face a little bit, but they seem to struggle with their relationship a little bit.
Just a little, but it's kind of gross when you think about it.
Why? They're not related.
No, but they grew up as brother and sister. So I don't know. This time watching it, it felt a lot weirder than the first. I don't remember that as an issue the first time. And now I'm like, it's kind of weird. I mean, it's okay. It's not incest or anything.
Right, but we do learn they want to be married, right?
Yes.
Elizabeth says she will stay and take care of the house while Victor goes away to university. Then we're in Ingolstadt. Ingolstadt? Is that how you say it?
I think so.
1793. So a year before we're in the Arctic. 1 year before we're in the Arctic. And Victor rents a space for his laboratory.
And it's quite the space. It's huge. The woman's like, sorry for all the stairs, but all we have is attic space or something, she said. But that's what he wants to be, at the top of the building. But it's massive, this apartment.
Talked to Victor in a class, and the professor's talking about, he says, knowledge is power only through God, which is actually engraved on the university as well. I'm not sure where he's going, but whatever.
He says the greatest mistake that the new kids make is that they think that they have their own new or creative thoughts. You haven't come here to think for yourself. I thought that was funny. You haven't come here to think for yourself. You're here to think for your patient.
But Victor challenges the professor.
Right away, day one. And they argue.
They argue about
forth.
Science versus philosophy, and Victor reads off a bunch of names of people I don't know.
And the professor knocks them all down and says, we only study hard science here. And this whole time, there's another adult male, older gentleman, half cloaked by shadow in the doorway, taking notice of Victor.
Yes. And after class, Victor meets Henry.
They become fast friends.
Who looks a lot like Amadeus Mozart.
He went on to greater things after meeting Victor.
Well, I was trying to think which one came first.
Oh, I
saw Amadeus. I think it was earlier, though. Oh, I know it was earlier, but anyway.
Oh, I thought you meant in real history.
No. I'm talking about the movie.
I don't know it wouldn't matter. I couldn't tell you either one.
Amadeus is much earlier. So everyone in this who've seen this movie says, hey, that's Amadeus Mozart. But anyway, and they begin striking up a conversation, and Victor asks about a man getting in the carriage, and Henry tells him that's Professor Waldman, who is the man who was in the shadows.
Ooh, stay away from him.
Because Victor knows I was watching him and he was watching me, and I know he was watching me, and he knows I was watching him.
They lock eyes for a moment for sure. They have a moment. But Henry says, stay away from him. He was a great scientist. And then he started doing illegal experiments, which makes Victor want to be around him even more.
And then we cut to him giving a class, and he hands Victor the scalpel, and he's going to cut the scalp of a cadaver or whatever.
And he's praised for it. He does an excellent job, incision.
Does an excellent incision.
Yes.
Then they have Henry going to cut the cranium, and he faints.
It's a running joke through the film that Henry can't pass anatomy.
Yeah.
He's a little too squeamish for that stuff.
He's in it for the young maidens, Karen.
Yes, the rich women's pretend ailments and their daughters.
So then we're back in Geneva, and Elizabeth reading a letter from Victor to the rest of the family. I wrote, except for the love letter part.
Yes. She starts to, but then gets very quiet.
Then we cut back to Frankenstein and the other professor, arguing about death. How Frankenstein said the point of being a doctor is to keep people from dying, basically, is his feelings. In this argument, he kind of refers to Professor Waldman without calling him by name, right? But refers to him, even your colleagues or whatever. So after class,
he wants to combine the ancient knowledge with the modern science, is what he's saying. We want to change things and make them better.
So after class, Waldman confronts Victor.
And my notes say they go to the Walmart laboratory.
They go to Waldman's laboratory, I believe is what it is, Karen.
Yes, that's what they do.
And they discuss, Waldman tells Victor about ancient Chinese secrets.
Yes.
Acupuncture and electricity.
Yes.
Then he shows them a little experiment he has going on with an amputated monkey arm, it looked like. And he hits it with electricity, and, the monkey moves its hands move. And
we did that unfortunately, I didn't like doing it with a frog leg in class, and it would jump. In college, I did it, but you had to pit the frog first and then amputate the leg. It wasn't for me. I did it, but I didn't like it.
I believe we talked about this in another film where they actually did that in the
probably
class. What was that? Was that Nightmare on Elm Street? No, it was the Happy Birthday.
Oh, Happy Birthday to Me.
Yeah, that's what it was. Happy Birthday to Me. And Victor offers to help Waldman, but Waldman says, you can, but you must tell no one. It's top secret. Then we see Elizabeth writing a letter to Victor. And even right here, I got the feeling that, I bet Victor's not writing back now. He's busy. Then we see Victor and Henry debating preventing death by replacing body parts. Basically, he's talking about transplants, right?
Yes, which haven't been invented yet.
Yeah.
But he's saying, if we can do that, what's to prevent us from doing every body part? Which obviously they didn't know the specifics at that point.
And Victor wants to see Waldman's notes, but he refuses. He says he is no longer in the business of creating life because his experiments resulted in an abomination.
Yes.
I'd rather see a movie about Waldman myself. But
yeah.
Anyway.
And what he did. Absolutely.
And he was that John Cleese?
Looked like it.
Okay. That's what I thought.
In a different kind of role for him.
Yeah, but he was good in it.
Oh, absolutely. I thought so.
Then apparently there's a smallpox thing going around, Karen, and everyone's been ordered. It's the law. You must be vaccinated, Karen.
Yeah, that came back, didn't it? And we get the first anti-vaxxers.
Yes, we do. A peg leg man is the first anti-vaxxer.
Refuse. Actually, that's true. I listened to a podcast. There were anti-vaxxers then.
You're not sticking me with that. You're not putting that in me. You're not.
And he starts yelling, "It has the pox in me!" And then everybody starts freaking out. And that's when.
And Waldman's like, "No, you idiot! It's pox antibodies." But he still refuses. But they hold him down, and the guy pulls a knife and stabs Waldman, and he goes.
Yes.
So then they're going to hang the man who killed Waldman, but they let him give a soliloquy first.
Well, it's his last words, I guess.
But the townspeople, they don't care. I don't think they just want him hung.
Doing the usual. Doctors are killing everyone. You guys, open your eyes. Do your research. whatever people say. Do your own research, and then they hang him.
You'll pay in the end. He gone. Much to the enjoyment of the crowd, I wrote.
Yes. And it's pretty brutal. They show a good hanging. The snap and everything.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, they're not
sugarcoating it.
Yeah, these hangings are not lingering.
No.
They're definitely snapping their neck every time.
Yeah, they're coming from up high.
They know what they're doing, Karen.
Yeah. There's no clawing at the rope. It's over.
Then we see Victor reading Waldman's notes after he gone.
Yeah, he broke into his lab and took the notes.
Then Victor steals the corpse of the peg-legged anti-vaxxer. And he tries to get Henry to help him, but he doesn't. But he begins by cutting apart the murderer, or the anti-vaxxer, as we're going to call him from now on.
Henry's a little too squeamish for that kind of stuff, so I'm not surprised he wouldn't do it. But he rejects it on moral grounds, not on physical ones. It's not that he couldn't do it, which we kind of know from anatomy that it makes him too squeamish. He wouldn't be able to do that stuff, but he doesn't reject it for that reason. It's moral. He thinks it's morally wrong.
Back in Geneva, Victor has finally written back about the cholera epidemic, I guess, and Elizabeth is worried about him. Cut back to Victor. You want to talk about cholera?
Well, do you want to do it now or when they're knocking on his door? Yay, let's talk about cholera. Woo! It's an acute diarrheal illness caused by infection of the intestines with cholera bacteria. People get sick when they swallow food or water contaminated with cholera bacteria. The infection is often mild or without symptoms, but can sometimes be severe and life-threatening. And if you look at the conditions in this film... I had
no idea what it was.
There's no...
I have no idea.
Well, now you know.
Yeah.
But looking at the conditions that they show in this movie, there's no surprise that people are getting cholera.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, that's the way it was.
So the worst...
Throw out your dead.
That's
Dump
what
your shit bucket in the street.
That's what they were doing.
I know.
The worst single year of cholera was 1854. And that was all over the world, interestingly enough. But 23,000 died in Great Britain alone. And then there were fourth and fifth cholera pandemics in 1863 and 1881, and are generally considered to be less severe than previous ones. But 1854 was the one where cholera just wiped everyone out.
Well, this is 1793, so.
Yes, but she's writing it in 1818.
Gotcha.
Well, which is still before it's still before the big one.
But they dealt with it many times.
Yes.
Here comes that cholera thing back again.
Well, they didn't know how it was spread, so they had no idea.
Where are those vaccinations?
That was only for smallpox.
So cut back to Victor, and he's harvesting Waldman's brain.
Yes, he wants the smartest brain.
And then he begins assembling body parts of other people who have died from cholera.
I don't know. He puts Waldman's brain on ice. I mean, the guy's been dead for days. I don't know what good it's going to do to put it on ice, but whatever.
And then he begins collecting amniotic fluid, apparently, Karen.
Amniotic fluid.
Amniotic.
Which, when you're in the early weeks of pregnancy, it's mostly water. So he's going around, and as pregnant woman's, when your water breaks, he's having the midwives collect it for him. So it's mostly water. And after about 20 weeks, it's your baby's urine makes up most of the fluid, but it contains nutrients, hormones, and antibodies.
Okay. Well, he's collecting it when they give birth, right? Or right before.
Well, yeah, that's what it is. So when this surrounds the uterus, and then when your water breaks, that's the amniotic fluid coming out.
Okay. But he begins experimenting with a dead toad and electricity and the amniotic fluid. And it seems to go pretty well. But the toad does appear very strong, Karen.
Yes, it breaks the petri dish it's in.
It kicks its leg and breaks the petri dish. Then we cut to Victor stitching up a body. Then we go back to the cholera epidemic stuff, and Henry tells Victor that the city's under martial law and no one's allowed to leave. He wants to leave before the
militia comes in and shuts down the city.
Yeah.
Yes.
Quarantines it.
Yeah. And Justine told Elizabeth, go get Victor now, because Elizabeth was just farting around at home, and Justine said, go get him. So Elizabeth is with Henry when he's pounded on the door.
She comes, and Victor refuses to leave with Henry, but then Elizabeth arrives. And Elizabeth tries to get him to leave, but he refuses. And Elizabeth offers to stay and help him, but he says no to that as well.
He says, go away.
Yeah. Basically, he tells her his work comes first.
Yes.
At this point. And Elizabeth leaves.
In tears. She's wailing in pain. But now Victor is more determined than ever because he's just given up the love of his life.
Yep. So then he brings his creature to life, I guess using the amniotic, like a whole fucking shit ton of amniotic fluid and electric eels. Is that what he's doing?
But you missed the best part was this is the sweaty, shirtless Brana. So when Elizabeth leaves, he's like, that's it. I'm getting serious now. And he takes off his shirt and he's running around and doing all the switches and everything. And as it goes along, he's getting more and more sweaty and his hair's getting all curly.
Yeah, I almost hit the +10 as this was going on. I'm like, all right, get to it already.
See, and I was hitting the -10.
10 seconds ahead. Okay, you're gathering all your shit. Yeah,
But he's running around with sweaty, curly hair and no shirt on.
Whatever.
But and there were some interesting parts, like the eels fall in and there's a lot of electricity, and he also uses acupuncture on the body in certain parts, like the bottom of the feet, the back of the head, like the Chinese medicine said, to stimulate different parts of the body.
I think he shoots electricity through those needles, right?
Yes. So that was kind of interesting.
So then I guess the creature comes to life and
in the bathtub. It's a giant bathtub.
Well, it's a sarcophagus, but yeah. But
it looks like a bathtub because they're heating the water underneath, or the amniotic fluid.
Then I guess they have this whole struggle where the creature's stumbling around and Victor's helping him up. And this goes on for like 10 minutes.
You did hit the +10. So he zaps the big bathtub and he's like, live. And the eyes open of the creature and he's all excited. And then thinks it's not active anymore. And then it knocks on the window. Why there's a window in that thing, I don't know, but he knocks on the window and he realizes the creature's alive. So he opens the bathtub, spills it, starts pounding the back of his back to get the water out of his lungs. And then they slip around like two female mud wrestlers for like 10 minutes or something.
Yeah, they look like they're wrestling in baby oil.
They can't seem to stand up because amniotic fluid, I guess, is slippery. I don't know, but that goes on for a while.
Yeah, I saw all that, Karen. I just did not feel
long enough that it starts to get a little silly, where you start laughing.
It is silly.
If they just left it like one shot, you would get it.
This movie's 2 hours long. If they cut all this silly shit out, it would be manageable.
I agree. That was way too long. But shirtless Branagh was not too long. That was necessary.
But he gets him up and he kind of helps him. He holds him up by chains and shit. But something happens and he's accidentally lifts the creature up and it gets struck in the head by by a weight or something. Is he brain dead now? I was kind of wondering, okay, is that why he's doesn't have the brain of Waldman later?
I think it's more that Waldman's brain was dead for hours or days or whatever.
All right. Whatever. So then Victor decides to destroy the journal and the secrets of bringing life to the dead.
Well, after Frankenstein's strung up in the chains, now is where Victor's like, what have I done? What have I done? Now you're curious about what you've done?
Did he think he was dead here? Or
I think so.
Because he kind of wrote in a journal, the experiment is an end.
Yes, there was a reanimation malfunction. He's pitiful.
Birth defects.
Yes, enhanced strength, pitiful, dead. And tomorrow this journal will be destroyed forever. He cries and goes to bed.
And then do we have Victor imagining what the professor would say to him if he knew all this shit?
There's kind of this dream sequence, but I think part of it's actually happening because you hear the chains rattling and all, and then there's banging and the creature is alive, but he's also having dreams and he hears the professor taunting him. And he says, evil will have its revenge. And then we see the creature starting to clothe himself, like wrapping.
And he takes Victor's coat, apparently,
yes,
with the journal in the pocket.
And amazingly, they're the same size, even though they're not near the same size, because that coat is huge on the creature. And it apparently fit Victor. But yes, because the creature is naked when he comes out of the bathtub. thing. So he knows enough to clothe himself. Hey, you're already halfway through the podcast. What do you think? If you like what you hear, can you take a minute and follow us on social media? At Scary Spirits Podcast. We're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Thanks so much for listening. Now let's get back to the show.
And we see the creature living in the streets.
Yeah, and the people aren't happy.
No, the angry townsfolk blame him for the cholera epidemic.
To be honest, I didn't think he looked that bad. He's got stitches all over his face, but that...
No, I mean, compared to everyone else, he didn't look too bad.
I know, that's what I mean. Through the whole film, he's supposed to be this abhorrent looking monster creature. Not monster, I guess creature.
Well, he's no Kenneth Branagh or whatever.
Well,
his name
of course,
is.
of course not. But he didn't look that, he just looked like he had been in some sort of accident and they stitched up his face. It wasn't that bad. And I remember thinking that even when I saw the movie the first time. You know, for people to recoil that way.
He's got a wonky eye.
Yeah, but you'd be in shock at first when he put back his hood, sure. But I don't know if I'd have the reaction that all these people had. But who knows?
But anyway, so they fight with him, but he's very strong, Karen.
Yes, he turns over
he
a
takes
wagon.
A few of them out.
Yep. Runs down an alley where there's dead people all over.
Yeah, but he escapes by jumping on a cart of the dead.
Yes.
Bring out your dead.
And he rides out of town and rolls off in the forest at some point.
And we see Henry nursing Victor back to health. Apparently he had pneumonia. They thought it was cholera.
Henry's too good for Victor.
And then Victor, feeling much better now.
Immediately. He has one sip of soup.
Jumps out of bed.
One sip of that magical chicken noodle soup, and because he hears a piano being played.
Either while he's
no, he has not at all.
Because he's shirtless again, Karen.
Yes, he is.
And he finds that Elizabeth is still there because he hears the harpsichord playing.
Oh, I called it a piano, but yes, it is the harpsichord.
It is a harpsichord, Karen. And they kiss a face. Kissy face. They kissy face.
They kiss a face. Yes, they do.
And right here,
they run to each other. So
I know, they run. And then I was thinking, are they going to have relations after he just woke up from having pneumonia? He was out of it, Karen. He was like in a coma.
Yes. Now he can run across the room. Well, I guess, there are motivators in life, I suppose.
But Victor tells Elizabeth that he never should have started working on his project and it is now dead.
Yes.
It's dead to him.
Good day. Research.
And then we see the creature wandering in a forest.
And he hears a recorder.
And he finds shelter in a barn.
With the pigs.
And then right here I wrote, apparently he has the coat and the journal.
Yes, we see the journal for the first time now.
And the family who owned the barn, they're trying to prepare for winter, but they couldn't get their crops out before the ground froze. So they had trouble digging up their turnips or whatever.
Are they turnips? I couldn't tell. At first they looked like potatoes, then when they were showing them, they looked like turnips.
Turnips, yeah. So the creature goes out there and starts harvesting the turnips for them, and he
gets
does a hell of a job. Yeah, he gets them all.
So they're showing his super strength and that he's sensitive because he can see them through a crack in the wall. He's in the barn area, but it's connected to the house, and he's watching through a crack, and he can see the family dynamics. There's two kids, a husband and wife, and a blind grandfather.
And he watches and learns as the mother teaches the children.
Yes, how to read.
Yep. So he's learning as well. Then we cut to Victor packing up his things. He's going to move back to Geneva. And they make fun of him for being a Swiss in the university earlier, but I don't know why.
One of the people that he was quoting, who he was following, was Swiss. Yeah.
Gotcha. So then Victor offers Henry a job in his medical practice, and they talk about, him and Elizabeth getting married, and he gives Elizabeth
engaged.
A locket with his picture in it to serve as a
instead of the ring. Yes.
Thing.
I think I'd want the ring.
Yeah, here's a picture of me.
To wear constantly.
Yes, with my curly blonde locks.
Yes.
So then we cut again to the creature learning to read, and he begins reading Victor's journal.
Yes, and he's seeing the things, how it was done, but also the negative things that Victor has written about him.
So now it's Christmas, Karen, 1793. And the family lead food for the spirit of the forest, which is what they call the creature after he harvested all their vegetables. The blind grandfather says it's the spirit of the forest.
Can you imagine living on turnips entire season? I don't even know if I've had a turnip.
Aren't they kind of like radishes?
That's what I'm guessing, but I don't know if I've ever had a turnip. Anyway, yes. So he's helped the family immensely. He's a quick study too, because we see him see 2 lessons with the kids reading, and the next thing we know, he's reading that journal, that scientific journal. So he does have that good brain,
he reads the first page. We see him read that much.
Yes, but he gets through it. We see later.
He pronounces Frankenstein right.
Yes.
So then the landlord arrives to collect the rent,
which is past due. We learned that earlier.
He harasses the blind grandfather, and creature don't like that too much. I don't think.
He's knocking him over and hitting him with the cane and being a dick, basically.
The creature takes care of him.
Yes, he does. But he also harasses the little girl a little bit, and she takes off running to find the parents.
The landlord does, not the creature.
Yes. Yes. The landlord torments the little girl, and she runs to find her parents. And then the parents hear a scream, thinking it's the grandfather, because she runs and says, he hurt grandpa or whatever, papa or whatever she calls him.
Yeah.
But it was actually the creature taking care of the landlord.
Killing the landlord. Yeah.
Yes.
But the blind grandfather invites the creature in, and he knows that he's been hiding the whole time in the barn.
Yeah, he says, it's about time you came in.
And the grandfather says, I can see you with my hand if you let me feel your face. Because the creature tells him he's hideous. That's why he hides or whatever. He's a monster. But the grandfather feels his face and says, oh, you poor man. Then the family arrives back at the house, and they kind of kick the creature out and chase him out.
Yes, because they think the creature was the one hurting the grandfather.
Then the father says, we have to leave.
And they leave immediately. And somehow they get all those turnips and all those pigs out.
By the time the creature returns.
Yes, because he's out sobbing in the forest.
Yeah.
After he gets kicked out. He has a pity party out there for a little while. And then he comes back because he finds the flower that they left for him for Christmas. So on Christmas, they put out a plate of cookies and it has a flower on it. And he finds the flower and he runs back to the house, and the house is empty.
So the creature burns the cabin down, and he vows revenge on Victor.
Why didn't he just stay in the house? He could have exacted revenge from there, and he has, he
has a lot of anger, Karen.
Well, I know. Yes, he even admits that later. But he has shelter. He probably has some turnips.
Landlord's gone.
Yeah, no one's going to come bother him. I thought he should have stayed there.
The heir would, but if there was an heir,
I guess. But he could take care of him too.
Good.
But he burns the place down, scorches it.
So then Elizabeth returns to Geneva, and she's preparing for the wedding.
It's a fancy house they live in Geneva. They are very well off.
Yes. And Victor's younger brother, William, takes the locket, I guess. He's
going to go show someone. I don't know.
Going to go show a neighbor. I don't know. So he heads off to the woods, but he meets the creature, and that ain't good, Karen.
No, I was surprised by that.
And William goes missing. So everyone's looking for William.
Well, he's playing. So the creature is playing the recorder on a log, and Willie runs up to him, and he gets scared. So he drops the locket, and then the creature finds the locket and says, Frankenstein.
Which I don't know how he knows it's Frankenstein, but
it's a picture of him.
Well, I guess he has seen him.
They wrestled for 10 minutes.
That's true. He did. But he seemed out of it at that point.
Well, he obviously remembers who he was.
So Victor arrives in Geneva, and he learns that William is missing.
It's going to start raining.
Yeah, and about this time, the creature finds Justine in the barn looking for William.
Yeah, she goes to the barn and she's exhausted. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. She falls asleep. So the creature finds her there,
Leaves the locket.
leaves the locket with her. Do you think he knew what he was doing?
Oh, yeah. William was already dead by then.
Yes, but did he know that he was
Oh, I think
framing
he did.
her? I didn't know if that was going to happen or just he wanted Frankenstein to know that it was, well, I don't know. I guess you're right.
So then Elizabeth finds William. He gone.
Yes, she comes crying that she found him. She found him.
And
It's a
about
pretty
that
dramatic
time,
scene.
then there's a knock at the door, and I don't know, some
I think,
townspeople say, "We found the murderer."
I think it's the Popo.
Okay. Well, they weren't wearing, uniforms, so I didn't know.
No, but it looked like they were the ones investigating.
Yeah, so they basically found Justine with the locket, and they're going to blame her for the murder. And you need to come to town immediately, Victor, because townspeople are already mad.
It's crazy when they get to
think
town.
she killed William. You don't kill a kid, Karen.
No, you do
you
not.
You don't do that.
They've gone nuts. They're breaking into the jail and they're carrying her away.
Yep, they're going to lynch her, and they do.
She's protesting the whole time, and they're all yelling, "No, no!" But they do, and it's pretty.
The mob rules, Karen.
Pretty brutal in its description. You see her, and she snaps, and it's kind of moving because when she's swinging, her mom just can't reach her feet, like she's underneath her. And I thought that was a little sad. They have a contemptuous relationship. Her mom's always criticizing, but she really loves her. And so that was brutal. It happened very quickly. It's a little slow paced, this movie. And then all of a sudden, bam, from the moment they find that, it's like 2 minutes, they lynch her. It's over.
So then the creature confronts Victor. He tells him he will meet him on the sea of ice. He points off.
He's in front of his house at this point. They're coming back from the brutality of the town, and they're locked all the gates.
Does he live outside the Alps or something? Because it looks like the Alps he's pointing to. Victor's leaving to go see the creature because he is sure the creature is responsible for William's death, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he plans on destroying him.
Why did they have to meet in the sea of ice? Why couldn't they just met in the forest? I mean,
because that's where the creature wanted to meet. I don't know.
I know, but Victor's got to scale ice mountains and
I said, is Victor climbing the Alps?
I mean, it's crazy.
It is crazy.
How he has to get to this place when they could have just met in the forest.
I think the creature stays there because he knows no one will go there. It's kind of secluded, So then the creature abducts Victor, and creature admits killing William.
But it's freezing cold. He falls into the water. I'm like, that's it. He's not going to survive that. They have this tiny little fire. He's going to lose all his fingers and toes. It's crazy. This part is a little ridiculous, I thought.
Yeah, Victor always looks good, no matter what.
He does.
Well, so does the Captain Walton, though, too. He does, too.
Yes, he does. I'm not complaining about the captain either.
Yeah, so you got your blonde and your brunette, Karen.
Yeah.
So then the creature confronts Victor, wants to know who he is, who he was constructed by. He says, I know how to play the recorder, but how? What person did I get that from? Was it my brain or my heart or my fingers or what? Basically,
he does graphically describe how he killed Willie.
He's going through that adolescent stage, Karen, where he's wondering, who am I?
But what he really wants to know is if he has a soul.
Yeah, I guess.
That's what he says.
That's what he says.
Or
I don't
was
think
that
he's really
part?
wondering that. I think he's just...
Was that part
poking?
That
he's
he left
poking
out?
Victor.
Wants to know if he was made up of good people or bad people. And Victor says materials, nothing more, which is repeated later. It's materials, nothing more.
Well, that's what he wrote in his journal.
Well, he said it a couple times. When he went to get his mentor's brain, he says it's materials, nothing more. It's kind of a mantra, he says, to help him get through the part of cutting up the bodies.
So then the creature asks Victor for a female companion.
One that looks like him so it won't hate him.
Yep.
The creature, not Victor.
And he will take his bride to the pole, the North Pole, where no man has ventured and lived there the rest of their lives. Leave him alone if you make me a mate.
If you don't,
I got a lot of anger.
Yeah, he's like, he's got a
A
lot of love and a lot of rage.
anger.
He said rage,
Rage,
which is
that
even
is.
better.
That is better. Rage.
Rage. So if you don't satisfy one, I'll use the other.
Victor agrees.
But that does not sit well with Elizabeth.
Nope.
It's like, I just need a month. Just a month.
And she's not happy.
She's like, that's it. I'm out of here.
I'm out. But Victor begins assembling the things he needs as Elizabeth begins packing her things to leave. So he's unpacking as she's packing.
Yes. Back and forth, back and forth.
Then the creature brings the body of Justine and wants Victor to make her his bride.
Honor your promise.
If he refuses, he will haunt him forever and he will be there his wedding night.
Yes. He says, if you deny me my wedding night, I will be with you on yours. Like, ooh, that's
He does.
good.
Victor stops Elizabeth as she is about to leave and he begs her not to go. She relents. She agrees to marry Victor, but he must tell her what happened after they're married. Whatever. I'll marry you today. Tell me tomorrow. Whatever is what she said.
And Victor doesn't want to use Justine. He
Doesn't.
kind of refused to do it. And that's when they got into a bit of a fight.
Yeah, so Victor's not going to make the bride, right? So then they have a wedding, and Victor and Elizabeth leave to try to get away from the creature, but she doesn't know there's a creature.
Danger.
Right.
Yes. And they do it in the bedroom of the father so he can see it. Apparently he's ill.
But they leave, and they leave the house protected by, friends and family. They're guarding the house to keep the creature away, but he's already in the house, Karen. They're too late.
And they missed the ferry.
Yeah, but the creature's in the house, and Victor's father dies.
Well, I think he kills him.
Don't see that, but
No, but that's the impression.
so then Victor and Elizabeth miss the ferry, as you said, and they need to find a place to stay. And the others guard it from the creature so they can celebrate their wedding night, Karen.
And they said, how will we know what he looks like? And Victor's like, you'll know.
You'll know.
You'll know. And yeah, they tell him to go up and have their wedding night.
So then they begin having relations, Karen.
Well, Victor gets to take his shirt off again.
And then there's where I kept saying, okay, go on.
Getting close. They're undoing the corset.
Getting there. They never do that, though. They don't get that close, but whatever. So then Victor hears the recorder, and we hear it too. And he jumps up and grabs his guns, Karen. Runs out, but the creature jumps on top of Elizabeth and rips her heart out.
That's the scene that I thought might be 18 plus, because he's talking to her and she says, please don't hurt me. He tells her how lovely she is. The men are outside looking for him. They turn around. They see the balcony door is open. Victor yells, Elizabeth. It doesn't look like he's going to do anything to her. He looks like he's just talking to her. It's not going to do you any good to scream. Just, you're lovely. And then he just sticks his hand in there. Her eyes get real big and he rips it out and it's still beating in his hand. I thought it was pretty horrific. As the rest of the movie goes, that's got to be the only thing that would make it 18 plus, right?
The hangings.
Yeah, I guess. We've seen worse hangings, though.
I don't know. Those are pretty good hangings.
Maybe not. I guess they are pretty graphic.
We've seen some witch burning, but not some hangings.
That's true. I'm sure we've seen hangings.
And then he tosses her aside and she falls into a fire. Right? Because of course it's all candlelight everywhere because it's their
I didn't
wedding
notice
night.
that.
Oh yeah. That's her face is on fire. Her head's on fire when Victor runs to her and picks her up. That's why her head's all fucked up.
I was wondering that. I must have missed it. I must have turned to write something down because I was wondering why her face was all weird. Okay.
And her hair's all singed. And yeah, because she was on fire.
Oh, I thought he took off her hair so that the electricity would go in because
Nope.
he shaved the creature's hair off before he did it.
So Elizabeth's gone, obviously.
Yes.
She got
Can't
no
come
heart.
back from that. But he's just beside himself, wailing.
Creature escapes Victor brings Elizabeth back to the house and tries to revive her.
So as he's doing that, I thought it was a really gorgeous shot. There's a
But
couple
Henry tells him first that your father's dead.
then there's nothing left for him, he says at that point.
Yeah.
But
Got nothing to lose now.
A couple of times they use red very effectively in the cholera epidemic, when Henry and Elizabeth come to the door and they try to get Victor to leave and he says no. She's running through the street. She's in a red coat and everyone else is in dark gray or black. And you just see her run through there. It's very pretty. And this is kind of the same. She's wrapped in this long red, I don't even know what it is, a comforter or something.
Yeah.
And it trails behind him as he goes up the stairs. And it's like 20 feet. It's just very beautiful the way it's on the stairs and everything. Almost like she's bleeding, but he takes her up to the lab. And Henry's like, don't do it.
And Victor takes her up to the lab and cuts off her head with a meat cleaver.
Yeah, I thought he was going to cut, because he has Justine's body is still there. And I thought he's going to cut out Justine's heart because that's all he needs, right?
Well, Justine's neck's broke. He's got to fix that too.
No, I thought he was just going to take the heart out of Justine and put it in Elizabeth, because that's the only part of her that's gone.
True.
I don't understand what he's doing here. But then he grabbed the meat cleaver and I'm like, okay, he's not going to get the heart. Then he cuts off Justine's head.
Elizabeth's head.
Well, he cuts
them both, but we see him cut off Elizabeth's.
And then we see Justine's on the floor and he sews Elizabeth's head on Justine's body. Just like the brain that wouldn't die. But why did he cut her hands?
I don't know.
Did he want her hand that had the wedding ring on it or something?
Don't know. I was wondering that as well. Why is her hands obviously sewed on?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway.
She was on fire.
He sews the head onto the body.
Then he repeats the procedure he used to bring the creature to life on Elizabeth. Brings Elizabeth back, but she ain't what she was, Karen.
They don't do the slip and slide stuff either.
No.
But he does smack her back and the water comes out of her mouth. And he tells her to stand and remember.
And then they dance. More dancing.
Yes, because she remembers dancing with him.
Then the creature arrives and gets Elizabeth to come to him.
They kind of try to, it's like if you want to see who your dog likes better.
Exactly.
And you stand on opposite ends of the room and you each call him. That's exactly what they're doing. He's saying, say my name. And the creature is just calling her. And she's kind of walking towards the creature.
There's a song in there somewhere, Karen.
I think it's a Destiny Child song.
Is that what it is? I don't know.
Say my name.
Say my name. So then,
but she does end up going to the creature.
And then she feels his face. And then she realizes that she is stitched up just like him. Right? There's like a light bulb that goes off. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, and she's not happy.
Stitched up. Oh, my face is stitched up. But Elizabeth does say Victor's name.
Yes. So he runs over to her. So they both are holding her arms, kind of.
Yeah. So Victor tells the creature, she remembers me, or whatever. And they fight over. And then Elizabeth breaks free and takes a lamp and sets herself on fire.
He never did tell her what he did, but I guess she figured it out.
Yeah.
In that moment, and she douses herself in flames. It's kind of cool.
And she runs down the hallway, engulfing the house, which must be made of highly flammable material.
Yes,
because everything's ablaze.
Matches.
Yes, the walls are lined with matches. It's because it goes up in flames.
It's impressive, though. It's a neat shot, but it's a little unbelievable.
And she jumps to her death.
She does, from the top of the stairs. And she's still on fire when she's down there.
Then we cut back to the North Pole, Karen. Victor is finishing up telling his story to Captain Walton. He said he's been pursuing the creature to kill him. And then he dies.
He's tired. He's so very, very tired. Just like Justine said.
Karen, though.
He does.
He does look tired.
He just quietly drifts off.
And he dies right there.
Yep.
Apparently from pneumonia, from what I read.
And then the captain's outside and everybody's like, what did he say? And the captain just says, he's dead. He died raving about some phantom. He's mad. He told me a story that couldn't possibly be true. And then the captain's like, okay, let's go north.
But
And-
the creature finds Victor in the ship.
Yes.
I don't know how
The creature's a bit of a phantom.
Yeah, he keeps getting into places where people don't know he's there.
Yeah, I don't know.
But the captain enters the ship and finds the creature there with Victor and asks who he is. And the creature says, he never gave me a name.
But he's weeping.
Mm-hmm.
There is a cool shot of Victor's laying there on like a bench and he's dead. And there is an angel wing kind of behind him. I thought it was a little touch they put in there.
But the creature mourns the loss of his creator. He calls him his father, but
yes,
I wrote his creator before he even said that. And then they have a funeral for Victor with a funeral pyre. And just as they're about to light it, the ice begins breaking and the ship breaks free from the glacier. And everybody runs to the ship. And
the captain says, oh, a warm wind. They feel a warm wind. And then all hell breaks loose and glaciers are melting and breaking off. Icebergs are flying away. And all of a sudden, the ship is free from the ice and can float with no damage.
The captain invites the creature to come aboard the ship with them, but
he says, come with us. And none of the men there from the ship or the captain have that horrible reaction to the creature. I mean, they're shipmen. They've probably seen worse. They don't even react. The captain, you're right, says, come with us. He says no, but they don't recoil at all.
They don't.
I would have went with the captain, just saying.
The creature swims back to the piece of ice, which still has Victor on his little funeral pyre there, and lights him on fire and allows himself to be engulfed in the flames. Crew asks, where to now, Captain? He stares at the funeral pyre and off in the distance, and he says, home.
And they go in opposite directions.
Credits, the end. 2 hours later.
Yes.
All right, Karen, what did you really enjoy or pleasantly surprised by in this film?
Besides half-naked Kenneth Branagh.
1994.
Sweaty with his shirt off, running around.
Is that it?
No, I thought the acting was good.
Oh, there was Captain Walton as well.
True. Yeah. I would have went with the captain for sure. I liked the acting fine. I thought the story was good. It kind of went a little deeper. I don't know the source material, but it did give you a little more background on Dr. Frankenstein and what kind of stuff he was reading. And the sets were good, I thought. The staircase was cool. There were some really nice shots with the red.
Mm-hmm.
Probably symbolizes something, but I don't know what. Kenneth and Helena had good chemistry for sure.
They did.
What about you? Did you like anything?
Most of the same stuff. It's beautifully shot.
I agree.
Isn't she married to Tim
What's his
Burton?
name?
But
Tim Burton.
at the time, this movie, she was with Kenneth Branagh. They were a real life couple at the time.
Well, no, I think this broke up his marriage. He was married to
Gotcha. Because it says 1994 to
someone
1999. Else. She was with him.
Emma Thompson, maybe? Is that who he was married to? But this film broke up their marriage, I think.
Interesting.
So you could see it. You could see their chemistry.
Anything else you really liked?
No, I liked it.
I did too.
I don't think I liked it
very good.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, has he ever not been good? Probably, but I don't know if I've seen anything he's not good in.
Makeup was pretty good on him too.
Yeah, I think they all looked of the time, except Kenneth had his mullet going.
Anything else you liked?
I think when you like the acting, the story, the sets, that's pretty much saying you liked it, right?
Yeah. Anything you didn't like, Karen?
Well, I mentioned I didn't think the makeup, I thought it on the creature was good, but I didn't think it was so repulsive that it would make people that upset by it. So I didn't get that. I think the whole thing, I mean, the brother, sister, then husband, wife, lover thing was a little odd, but whatever. It's maybe that happened more back then than now. I think it felt a little self-indulgent. I mean, Kenneth directed it, and he's running around with his shirt off and he's all sweaty, and then he's climbing these ice walls, and there were definitely pieces of it that could have been cut for a 2-hour movie. Did I hate them when I saw them? No. But it does feel a little bit like I'm going to make myself look amazeballs in this movie, which I would do if I was directing myself in a movie. I get it, but as a professional, it just felt a little self-indulgent to me. I didn't mind it, but you can see it.
I agree. It is 2 hours long, and I felt like I tried to cram a whole lot into that 2 hours.
Yeah, it got a little rushed at the end. I felt like give me the girl or not. He has the girl for 30 seconds. She's gone. Like there's no like boom, boom, boom. That's what I mean. It was a little, like I said, self-indulgent. There were long parts of him in medical school and him designing the creature and all of these things, which could have been shorter, and you could have had a little more at the end. What happened there? It didn't take her long to figure out what she was and how to destroy herself. It seemed to take him a little longer. The creature, the first one. I mean, there's probably some symbolic meaning, but him weeping at the end at the death of his creator, his father, when the whole time he's trying to kill him. Mm-hmm. So I don't really get that.
Oh, I understood it.
I mean, if he had the chance, he would have killed him. But the fact that he died not at his hand, he's crying. I don't know. Like I said, I'm sure there's symbolism that's been written about in many a high school paper, but I don't really, it felt, again, indulgent.
That was kind of touching to me, but anyway.
It was touching, but if he had found him 5 minutes earlier, he would have killed him himself.
Maybe
he would have cried then too, though.
Probably.
Is there anything you didn't like about it?
Just like I said, that it's trying to cram a whole lot into one film. I don't like, it seems a little disingenuous that it's called Mary Shelley Frankenstein and it's not really true.
Well, if I knew
the
source material better, I would be able to comment on that, but I don't know it. It's embarrassing. I haven't read that book.
But I doubt it's.
Well, and your son only knows half, so we can't ask him.
Yeah, I doubt it's true to the source material. So
there are pieces that are, for sure.
Well, I'm sure there are pieces.
Well, the captain, when I looked him up, it says it's a fictional character by her.
Oh.
So that part must be sort of true. I know he ends up in the Arctic.
So you think the whole captain story and them in the Arctic is included in the novel?
I mean, he does float away on fire, but
I'm reading right now. It's considered to be the most faithful film adaptation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. So what the fuck do I know, Karen? Apparently nothing.
You and I need to read more.
Yep. Captain Walton, introductory narrative. That's the way it starts. Except it's a correspondence between the captain and his sister. And I guess he's telling her the story of meeting Viktor Frankenstein and all this shit. Yeah, so apparently it is the most, just skimming through it here, it's the most.
It's interesting. It is beautifully shot. And I think I just saw a movie, I don't know, a month ago, Murder on the Orient Express with Kenneth Branagh. I wonder if he directed it. And it's an Agatha Christie, and it's okay story-wise. But again, I was just struck by how beautifully shot it was. The cinematography and everything. So I don't know if that's a signature of his. He's got an eye for that for sure. Or he hires the right people to make it look pretty.
All right, Karen. What kind of cocktail rating?
I think it's a 3.
3.
It approaches a 2, but it's just not there.
It's close. It's not quite.
But it's just not there. But it's very close to a 2.
I mean, it was good.
It's classy. It's beautiful. I don't know if it's high budget, but it's not low budget. It's just a beautiful reenactment of her story, I think, compared to others that we've seen. Of course, it's later. It's not 1952. So there are a lot more things you can use and do with it. But it was very dramatic and very well done. It took the source material seriously.
Apparently.
Yes. But I'm saying it didn't take it like a ghost story. It took it as a real dramatic retelling, I think.
Would you like to hear a review of the time, Karen?
Sure.
We only
Critics
have time
Corner.
for one. From Roger Ebert.
The actual Roger Ebert?
The actual Roger Ebert.
Okay.
November 4th, 1994. I'll paraphrase as always. The monster has always been the true subject of the Frankenstein story, and Kenneth Branagh's new retelling understands that. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein has all the usual props of the Frankenstein films brought to a fever pitch. The dark and stormy nights, the lightning bolts, the carnal houses of spare body parts, the laboratory where Victor Frankenstein stirs his steaming cauldron of life. But the center of the film, quieter and more thoughtful, contains the real story. This creature, more than those in any of the earlier films, is acutely aware that in appearance he is a hideous monster. He also knows more about his origins. He reads Frankenstein's original journal and learns how he was constructed from parts of dead bodies. And he is thoughtful. Yes, I speak and read and think and know the ways of man, he says with an echo of Caliban. And he asks, what of my soul? Do I have one? What of these people of which I am composed? The whole issue of the Branaugh film is concentrated here. Has Frankenstein created a monster or a man? De Niro brings a real pathos to the role, and there is agony when he asks the scientist, did you ever consider the consequences of your actions? And his loneliness is palpable. For the sympathy of one living being, I would make peace with all. But the film surrounding these scenes is less satisfactory. Branaugh has always been a director cheerfully willing to shoot for the moon, to pump up his scenes with melodrama and hyperbole. And usually I enjoy that. Here, however, faced with material that begins as lurid melodrama, he goes over the top. I admire the scenes with De Niro so much, I'm tempted to give Mary Shelley's Frankenstein a favorable verdict, but it's a near miss. The creature is on target, but the rest of the film is so frantic, so manic, it doesn't pause to be sure its effects are registered.
It is manic. He is very obsessive, but I thought that was...
I kind of feel like he's saying he tried to cram too much into this 2-hour film.
But he's also kind of everything is the work. He doesn't listen to anyone. And it's very manic and very obsessive. He doesn't listen to Elizabeth. He doesn't listen to his mentor. He doesn't listen to Henry. He doesn't listen to his father. He doesn't listen to anybody. It's only what he wants. And so that is this kind of...
Even Elizabeth says at one point, do you ever think of anything other than yourself, what you want or whatever?
But I thought that was why it was like that, to reemphasize that whole point. Could be. That's how it felt to me, where he's just like, nothing else matters.
Could be, Karen.
Well, that's how I took it.
All right. What'd you think of the Drunkenstein? Stein.
It's Frankenstein, Drunkenstein.
Okay,
I liked it.
All right, Stein, Drunkenstein.
I made it in my little mason jar, so it looks really cute, kind of square, like Frankenstein, what in the comics is, as yours evaporated.
Almost.
It's
not bad for tequila.
I would put vodka and tonic in it. I would change it completely, but as long as it has that little bit of green to make you have the Frankenstein part, it's cute. Nice little Halloween drink. Easy, not too many ingredients. You could even put it in a punch bowl, I think, as we're getting closer to the season. This would be an easy one.
Yes, we are. What did we learn today, Karen?
We learned about the North Pole, who was there first, supposedly, how cold it gets. We learned about cholera, what the worst cholera outbreak was, what amniotic fluid is made of, how many Frankenstein films there were, what the oldest one of those is. That might be it. You got a Destiny's Child reference in there. We got some anti-vax disparagement going.
All right, next film, Karen.
It's your choice.
Oh, it's my turn already.
What'd you choose?
Karen, the film I have chosen is a Hammer film.
What?
I know, shocking. It is called Lust for a Vampire. I'm finishing the Karnstein trilogy,
Oh,
Karen.
is Ingrid Pitt in it?
No, she's not.
Oh, bummer. Well, you must have an interesting drink to go with it. What do you?
You would think. The drink I have is the Strange Love Negroni.
Have you done that one before?
No, we've done a Negroni, but not the Strange Love Negroni.
Excellent. What do we need for that?
We're gonna need gin, Campari, sweet vermouth, and a slice or zest of orange for garnish.
Okay. That sounds about right.
So there you go. Lust for a Vampire.
Can't wait.
Anyone you need to thank this week, Karen?
Well, as always, I want to thank our listener. There's a lot of podcasts out there. Thank you for spending time with us. What about you, Greg? Who do you need to thank?
Karen, I need to thank Laylaw150 for subscribing to us on YouTube, as well as Dennis Walton. Could it be related to Captain Walton, Karen? I'm not sure, but he subscribed to us on, I'm assuming he is a he, Dennis, subscribing to our YouTube channel as well. And also the band Verse 13 for providing all the music in the Scary Spirits podcast.
The music definitely makes the podcast better.
Anything else, Karen?
Please drink responsibly.
Yes.
Thanks for listening to the Scary Spirits podcast, where the movies might be iffy, but the drinks are always solid. We would love to hear from you. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast, or go to our website, scaryspirits.com. And if you want the direct line, email us at info@scaryspirits.com. If you really want to help us out, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And remember, always drink responsibly. See you next week.